Hey, welcome back to Clean and Sober Stoner, but this time it's more of a monster riff thing. We decided, what the heck, let's talk about Opeth, one of the most consistently divisive and controversial bands in all of metal and prog. I have a 30-year history with Opeth, which is longer than these kids have been alive.
Yeah, I've been listening
close.
to Opeth for 20 years.
Ooh.
I started early.
Okay, Junior. Anyway, their new album is Last Will and Testament, and I know what my reaction has been. I'm more interested in, I don't want to monopolize Gypsy. What's your hot take? What's your first thought on Last Will and Testament?
Well, I haven't listened to them as long as you guys, but it's been a couple years. And the first 4 songs on the album, on this new one, frustrate the hell out of me. Just, my nerves are so mad. Where is it going? It's so jazz in its structure, but there are pieces that, okay, that's great, but I can't settle into it, and I can't wait for it to be done. That being said, you get to song number 5, and it clicks. Yeah. Song number 5, while it does start out kind of jazzy, and I've got my issues with that, it holds. That song I've listened to over and over. And 6 and 7 I like, but I really had to force myself to get through those first 5 songs as like a loyal monster riff kid. And I don't ever want to hear those 5 songs again. Oh. They just upset my nerves.
Oh. You just upset my nerves.
I don't know if it's like an ADHD thing or what's going on, but I'm like, I like all the pieces, but their transitions are so jarring.
Yes.
That my nerve can't handle. And I do like transitions. I like when things change. But yeah, I felt like maybe song 1 or song 2, I was like, did they get Danny Elfman on here? What's going on?
Oh. I was thinking more Devin Townsend, but I don't want to.
Let's keep coming.
I don't want to give my take away. Blake,
it's not bad. I just couldn't enjoy it like, Dignity on their old album. I could listen to 100 times.
Okay, Blake, you're off the top of your head. Hot reaction to Last Will and Testament by Opeth.
It's their best album since 2005.
Oh.
Not saying much. That's one of those
I know things, it's not saying much.
That's where you just said something without saying anything.
Okay. Qualify this.
So I will elaborate. I haven't liked a ton since 2005. So for me, this album is a breath of fresh air injected into this discography. Okay? Like, I did not care for the last 2 decades of Opeth. It just wasn't my favorite. I'm not. It's not that it wasn't great. I'm just not the target audience.
Okay, that's fair.
And I respect every album that they've released, but I wouldn't say that I've enjoyed the last few. That being said, to even put it in the mention of, for me, the best Opeth album, Ghost Reveries, I feel like says something about where I'm getting to with this album after far too many listens. Because the first 3 to 4 listens, I was like, I just can't do this. Like, I might have to pull out of this podcast. And then I got several more down, a lot more down, and now I'm really excited to talk.
Okay, I'm surprised that Gypsy kind of stole my thunder. By the way, Freya, has Freya heard it?
Yeah, Freya has heard it. I think she's indifferent.
She loves the licks.
Yeah, she just loves the bass. She's all about that bass.
So Opeth, one, I've dearly loved Opeth. I've had a 30-year relationship with the band, and I built my whole stereo around Opeth.
Really?
I bought headphones specifically for listening to Opeth. I have the Oppo Blu-ray player so I can get the Steven Wilson Blu-ray masters. I enjoyed Heritage.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, this album, the first 5 songs, to me, it's Mikael lecturing us on what real prog should sound like. And the first time I listened to it, it's like all that went through my head is, wow, I really want to listen to My Arms, Your Hearse. I really want to listen to Still Life. And what's aggravating to me the most is, one, this is the kind of album that Mikael would have made fun of 30 years ago.
Right.
It just is. He's now become that guy that he kind of used to criticize. You disagree?
I
mean, I need to understand why you think that.
Because it is bloated and pretentious. This album is the equivalent of a bad Marvel movie, where it's all.
Hasn't Opeth been bloated and pretentious for 20 years?
Yeah, but
can I step in?
Yeah.
Can I cut in? Okay, so I'm a student, and sometimes I will push play on my textbooks that are online and listen to the textbooks.
Right.
And sometimes I speed it up, which I don't like doing. It makes everything so choppy and you lose all the cadence. But for time's sake, I will do that. I feel like the first 5 songs are done like that.
Yeah.
Like there's just piece after piece after piece so smashed together, and I don't have any time to process what I heard before the next completely different algorithm comes up.
We get to Michael's first growls. We didn't have to wait long, so it's the return of his fantastic voice. And I smiled. And there's a guy on my Facebook page who called it growl bait. So the growling is just tricking you into liking it. And I've got a few other really harsh observations before I tell you that I actually like the album. But again, it's a bloated MCU movie where there's all this action coming on. You've got all these things going on. They get into a groove. They get into a groove for about 10 seconds. And then he's taking the same chord progressions and scales that they used in Still Life. And it's like, what are you doing? It's like Mikael forgot how to write a song, right? Then we get to like right around the 6th song for me. Then all of a sudden the whole thing makes sense. And by the time I got to A Story Never Told, I went, okay. So
very Blackwater Park.
I give it another listen, and no, it's still a bloated MCU movie. I don't care that Ian Anderson's in there. I don't care all the little sound effects and all that. Just do the music. That's as respectful as I can be. It's like, I don't know that I will ever listen to this album again. There's not one damn thing in it where I'm going, ooh, I'm going to go back to that for the next 20 years, like Blackwater Park, which has one of the singular best moments in all of progressive metal. They've got tons of those. So yeah, for me, this is it's a good album. The musicianship is unbelievable.
Yeah, you can't deny the musicianship.
Martin Mendez proves himself to be, top 5 bass players in the world, not metal. He is phenomenal. Guitar playing is phenomenal. Everything about this is phenomenal, but it still feels...
The production is phenomenal.
It is, but
the production is phenomenal.
Well, what is it? The Marvels was phenomenal. Avengers movies are phenomenal with the effects, but at the end of the day, it's kind of
can be overdone.
Scott, I'm trying to decide.
I've never stumped you in the 2 years I've known you. I've never elicited the Blake.
How do you feel about like Ornette Coleman or Charles Mingus or like late 60s, early 70s Miles Davis, like Bitches Brew Miles Davis.
Love it.
Okay, then why don't you like this album? Because this album is essentially a tribute to the prog that I know you love and this jazz that you claim to love.
They do it well. He does not.
I'm just saying, this is like one of their most sophisticated, forward-thinking albums. Like, out of the 14 albums they've put out, like, are there albums that I like more? Of course. Of course there are Opeth albums that I like way more than this. Like, I enjoy every album till Ghost Reveries more than this album. Including Ghost Reveries. But this is such a comeback from a period in which I could not care less about what Opeth had to say musically, because it just wasn't my thing. I wasn't the audience. It wasn't interesting to me. And they finally gave me something that was interesting. And, you know, it's a challenge. I'm not going to deny that. It took me like 4 or 5 listens to where I could enjoy it. But I think this is honestly one of their smarter albums.
There's definitely incredible musicianship to it, and it feels those first 5 songs, which you know, Miles Davis and all that. There are selective things I love about jazz, but I don't love jazz. I'm frustrated by jazz, and as a musician who's you know, classically trained, I should like jazz, and I don't. I don't like how it makes me feel. And these first 5 songs make me feel like that. It's disruptive. It doesn't make sense to me in a musical way. But that's not to say it's not amazing. The little pieces that they're doing, it felt like, okay, these could be movie soundtracks, which they do. They do very all-encompassing music. But yeah, I don't know that I can get through those first 5 songs multiple times like you, but I will try it.
You know, I don't have to go back to peak Gentle Giant, which, by the way, this is not Ornette Coleman. This is not Miles Davis.
I'm not saying it's groundbreaking. I'm just saying it's inspired.
It's inspired.
I've heard Cactus. I've heard Camel. I've heard Gentle Giant. I don't feel a need to have that regurgitated the constant time signature change. Come on, man! I grew up on King Crimson, and it just these neat things that it really at this point it's just word soup. It's just throwing everything at the wall. And I know that this is a revered album already. And by the way, I am not saying this is a bad album. Okay. I'm not quantifying and saying, ooh, I'm a reviewer in this. What I'm saying is, the first 5 songs, the paragraphs, the pretense of the paragraphs. Okay. It's like every little thing is designed to annoy me.
Called The Last Will and Testament.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to die. Those first 5 songs make me want to.
The disrespect on this podcast, I swear.
Hey, we are here to be authentic.
We are, and one of the biggest criticisms of me is I never give a negative review. Now,
I was thinking, how do I do this? Because it's not a bad album at all. But I have the similar reaction.
When you have high expectation, you know, this is an extraordinary band. Opeth is a generational band. Mike Åkerfeldt is a generational guitar player. Martin Mendez
and vocalist.
So everything about it is perfect. I'm not saying that it's not. It's just very poorly executed in those first few songs. I don't know what he's thinking. if anybody, here's the thing: we come back a year from now, 5 years from now. I don't think this album is going to hold up to anything else they've done. This will be near the bottom of the list along with Sorceress and Heritage. It's going to be this.
You're putting this on the same level as Heritage?
Yeah.
Here, I have a thought, though. Those first 5 songs, if they had arranged them differently on the albums between other songs where you can breathe, we might feel differently about it as an album as a whole.
So what you're saying, and I agree with this, is I wanted more of this album because I would have loved a double album of this. Like 40 minutes was not enough for good new Opeth. So I wholeheartedly agree with you, my friend.
The ideas in this album equal a 15-minute EP.
That is one of the most ridiculous opinions you've ever had.
Why?
I think this album solidifies, like, I think this already could have been possibly said, very likely said, but this album only drives the nail further in that this is the most important prog band since King Crimson.
Okay, let me stop you right there. No,
yeah, let's do this.
No effing way. No effing way.
Yes.
There's way too many absolutely fantastic prog bands.
Yeah, there are. I love prog. The 2 best are King Crimson and Opeth.
Oh, good God. I'm not even Catholic, and I feel like I need to somehow
cleanse this.
Ignoring Dream Theater's entire discography is,
which I would love to do every day,
disrespectful on so many levels. This is great.
So is Dream Theater's existence in my ears.
Usually we're really nice and gentle. We have our
We're having a day right now.
John Petrucci's not going to listen to this. What do I care if John Petrucci doesn't like my opinion of his garbage band?
I'll take Hawken over this. I will take Porcupine Tree over this. Porcupine Tree is the most significant prog band since King Crimson.
Porcupine Tree has an argument. I go Opeth.
Yeah, I see Damnation, Heritage. I love that.
Okay, so they had a rough couple decades, but they had, like, in that first decade, it's almost unparalleled. And now this album is like saying, hey, sorry about Heritage. Sorry for the last 15 years of music. We're thinking again.
It's definitely a thinking album. There's a lot of thoughts on it, a lot of feelings.
There are a lot of thoughts.
It's a cash grab.
Interesting lyrics where I'm going, I'm going to have to look those up and see if they're talking about what I think they're talking about. And I think they are.
I'm coming across like I hate the album. I don't. I am remarkably ambivalent. I'm like, okay, he can do the noodling thing.
This is, I'm the same way about, like, the last several albums. Like, it's like I said, I respect them because it's Opeth, but do I want to listen to them? Not at all. This is the first album since Ghost Reveries, I think. What was the album right after Ghost Reveries?
I'm on medication. I can't think that quick.
Yeah. Maybe the one right after Ghost Reveries. But I just, the last 15 years of Opeth, for the most part, has not been for me. I finally feel like I
need to look that up.
Yeah. I haven't been enthused about anything Opeth in a while.
But this one caught your attention.
This one, the first single, I was impressed. And then the first listen to the album, I was dismayed.
Mm-hmm.
The second listen to the album, I was annoyed. The third listen to the album, I was just sad. And And then the fourth listen, it was like the light bulb went off. And I was like, oh, okay, so I'm supposed to work for this one. And I appreciate that about what Opeth has done. They didn't make an album that is easily digestible. They didn't make an album that's going to, tickle your eardrums and make you enjoy a groove or something like that. But I do think they made a really interesting, fun, playful album.
It's definitely playful. And that's why I'm saying it's like Jack Elfman, it's imaginative. Even the songs I don't care for, they're imaginative in that way. I'm sorry, my friends, I gotta go.
Okay, before you go, verdict, thumbs up, thumbs down, where you at?
I'm like here. Is that fair?
Yeah. I'm there with you. Now,
okay.
but go ahead and go. Thank you for being here. I have a feeling Blake and I are gonna. I don't want to get sued by Banger TV, but I have a feeling we're gonna lock horns.
Okay, if you guys need a mediator later, just call me.
I'll let you know.
All right, see you guys.
That was fun. I whenever I do anything with Gypsy, it just becomes something more fun than I was expecting.
Oh, I know.
She just has that calming way. Okay. Now, if the audience has stuck with us here, let's get real. Do you know what album of theirs I hated more than any other for like a year? My favorite, Still Life. It took me, because I was used to Orchid and Morning Rise, which I love. My Arms, Your Hearse, which I loved. Still Life, I had the same reaction I'm having now. So Opeth is that band that, you can listen to one of their albums 10 years later and it's like you've caught up to it. So I'll give you that much.
This could be one of those albums.
It could be.
I do think it could be.
Or
because I'm entirely serious. I did not like it the first couple times I listened to it. I was like, what's the deal? This isn't good. But the more that I listen to it, the more that I think that it's an achievement.
I'm going to say, I'll close and say, that's a really good point. But me listening to it 7 times, that's an achievement. The fact that I sit through it, I want to have bonus points because I love Opeth. I want to love everything. Like I said, I like Heritage. I like Storm Corrosion, the duet album with Steven Wilson. I love progressive Mikael Åkerfeldt, but this one so far, I'm just not there. I have an idea.
Wow.
I have an idea.
Yeah. Okay.
You and I should probably get together and we rank the Opeth albums sometime.
I'm in.
Let's have that discussion. Any final thoughts? I've already said enough.
I really do think patience is a virtue with this album. Like, if I didn't love Opeth as much as I do, I probably would have given up a lot sooner on this album. But I wanted to try to understand what they were going for. And so I read about it. I spent a lot of time with it. And I think that this really is, probably their best album since Ghost Reveries, which is, in my opinion, their crowning achievement. Okay. I know you probably disagree with that, but for me, it's just so nice to hear Opeth be what I love them to be. Okay. And while it may in certain ways seem like a retread of certain earlier elements, I'll take that over what's been coming out.
That's fair.
Like, to use Star Wars, like, the last 3 that came out were not very good, but they were a hell of a lot better than the middle 3.
I hate it when people bait me into Star Wars discussions. Star Wars is nothing but a derivative ripoff of Akira Kurosawa, of
Yeah.
Dune. Okay, I'm editing that out. We won't have any subs left. Folks, you gotta let us know in the comments your opinion. This album, thumbs up, thumbs down, or kind of let us get your feedback, but a little bit more than just calling us, brain dead dicks, But I'm
I mean,
interested.
I am that.
Blake, as always, we'll have to figure out, a way that you and I can go at it on classic bands and the rankings.
Would love to.
Let's start with Caius.
Okay. Yeah,
Inside
that
joke.
sounds really fun.
Yeah. Folks, thanks again for tuning in to Clean and Sober Stoner. We hope that you enjoyed this, even if we ticked you off, which, by the way, is kind of what the album is. So until next time, thanks, y'all.